Nagarhole National Park is a national park located in Kodagu district and Mysore district in Karnataka state in South India. This park was declared the 37th Project Tiger Reserve in 1999. It is part of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. The Western Ghats Nilgiri subcluster of 6,000 square kilometers, including all of Nagarhole National Park, is under consideration by the UNESCO World Heritage Committee for selection as a World Heritage Site. The park has rich forest cover, small streams, hills, valleys and waterfalls. The park has a healthy predator-prey ratio, with many tigers, Indian bison and elephants. Location: the park ranges the foothills of the Western Ghats spreading down the Brahmagiri Hills and south towards Kerala state. It lies between the latitudes 12 degrees 15 minutes 37.69 seconds north and longitudes 76 degrees 17 minutes 34.4 seconds east. The park covers 643 square kilometers located to the northwest of Bandipur National Park. The Kabani Reservoir separates the two parks. Elevations of the park range from 687 to 960 meters. It is 50 kilometers from the major city of Mysore. Together with the adjoining Bandipur National Park, Mudumalai National Park, and Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, it forms the largest protected area in southern India, totaling 2,183 square kilometers. History: the park derives its name from Naga, meaning snake, and hole, referring to streams. The park was an exclusive hunting reserve of the kings of the Vodaya dynasty, the former rulers of the Kingdom of Mysore. It was set up in 1955 as a wildlife sanctuary and later its area increased to 643.39 kilometers. It was upgraded into a national park in 1988. The park was declared a tiger reserve in 1999. Climate and ecology: the park receives an annual rainfall of 1,440 millimeters. Its water sources include the Lakshmantir, the river, Sarati Hole, Nagarhole, Balhala, Kabani River, 4 perennial streams, 47 seasonal streams, 4 small perennial lakes, 41 artificial tanks, several swamps, Tarika Dam and the Kabani Reservoir. Flora: the vegetation here consists mainly of northwestern Ghats moist deciduous forests with teak and rosewood predominating in the southern parts. There is central Deccan Plateau dry deciduous forests with pala indigo and thorny wattle towards the east. There are some sub-montane valley swamp forests with several species of the Eugenia genus. The main trees found here are the commercially important rosewood, teak, sandalwood and silver oak. Species of trees of the dry deciduous forest include crocodile bark, Lagerstroemia lanceolata, Indian kino tree, Grewia tilifilia, rosewood and axlewood. Other tree species that are seen in the forests are Lagerstroemia microcarpa, cadum, cotton tree, Schleichera trigiga and some species of ficus. In the understory, species found growing include Kidia calicina, Indian gooseberry and beechwood, shrubs like horse nettles, tick clover, Helicteres species and invasive species like lantana and boneset are found in abundance. These forests have some conspicuous tree species such as golden shower tree, flame of the forest and clumping bamboo. Fauna: the park protects the wildlife of Karnataka. The important predators and carnivores in Nagarhole National Park are the Bengal tiger, Indian leopard, Ashuri deer, sloth bear and the striped hyena. The herbivores are chital, sambar deer, barking deer, four-horned antelope, gaur, wild boar and Indian elephant. Nagarhole National Park provides an opportunity to see some of the southern population of gaur. flower. Also, this park in Karnataka is a good place to see elephants in the luxuriant forests and bamboo thickets which they most enjoy. The total population in southern India is now about 6,500, nearly all living in the area where Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala join in the shadow of the western Ghats. Other mammals includes the grey langur, bonnet macaque, jungle cat, slender loris, leopard cat, civet, mongoose, European otter, Indian giant flying squirrel, Indian giant squirrel, porcupine, golden jackal, chevrotain, hare and pangolin. Over 250 species of birds are found at Nagarhole National Park. Besides the enormous variety of woodland birds, there are large congregations of waterfowl in the Kabini River. Birds range from blue-bearded bee-eater, scarlet minivet and Malabar whistling thrush to the more common ospreys, herons and ducks. Mammals flagship species like Bengal tiger, Indian bison, agaur and Indian elephants are found in large numbers inside the park. A study carried out by Dr. Ullas Karantha of the Wildlife Conservation Society has shown that the forests of Nagarhole have 3 species of predators, i.e. tiger, Indian leopard and Asiatic wild dogs present at an equivalent density. The park also has a good number of golden jackals, grey mongoose, sloth bears, striped hyena, spotted deer, chital, sambar, barking deer, four-horned antelopes and wild boar. Other mammalian inhabitants include the common palm civet, brown mongoose, striped-necked mongoose, black-naped hare, mouse deer, Indian pangolin, red giant flying squirrel, Indian porcupine and Indian giant flying squirrel. Birds recognized as an important bird area. The park has over 270 species of birds, including the critically endangered oriental white-backed vulture, vulnerable lesser adjutant, greater spotted eagle and the Nilgiri wood pigeon. Near threatened species like darters, oriental white ibis, greater grey-headed fish eagle and red-headed vulture too can be found here. Endemics include the blue-winged parakeet, Malabar grey hornbill and the white-bellied treepie. 7 of the 15 biome 10 and 21 of the 59 biome 11 species have been noted from here. Some of the birds that can be sighted here include the white-cheeked barbet, Indian scimitar babbler and Malabar whistling thrush. Birds commonly seen in drier regions like painted bush quail, Cercia malcoa, ashiprinia, Indian robin, Indian peafowl and yellow-legged green pigeon can be found here. Reptiles commonly found here are mugger, common vine snake, common wolf snake, rat snake, bamboo pit viper, Russell's viper, common crate, Indian rock python, Indian monitor lizard and the common toad. Insects. Extensive studies on the biodiversity of the insect population have been carried out by researchers from the Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and the Environment, Bangalore. The insect biodiversity of this park includes over 96 species of dung beetles and 60 species of ants. Unusual species of ants that have been identified include the jumping ants such as Harpegnathos saltata, which are known to jump up to a meter high. The ant species Tetrapondera rufonegra may be useful as a marker for the health of the forests because these ants feed on termites and are abundant in places where there are lots of dead trees. Species of dung beetles identified include the common dung beetle, India's largest beetle, Helicoprias dominus, which breeds only in elephant dung, and Onthophagus pactolus, a very rare species of dung beetle. Tribal and native inhabitants. The Yenukurubas, primary inhabitants of this forest area, are a tribe in Karnataka state, and the traditional practices and rituals are slowly disappearing. The government is restricting their entry inside the national park and forest due to multiple factors, including but not limited conservation efforts, and bringing the community to the mainstream society. The Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, identified the Yenukuruba and the Kodagu as tribal groups in Karnataka. The Yenukurubas are traditional food gatherers and honey collectors. In Kannada, the term Yenus means honey, and the term Kuruba generally means shepherd. It is derived from the Kannada word kuri, which means sheep. The term Kuruba is also associated with non-shepherd communities. They speak a variant form of Kannada commonly known as Yenunuri within the family kin group, and Kannada with others. They use Kannada script. According to the census of 1981, the population of Yenukuruba community is 34,747, out of which 17,867 are male and 16,880 are female. The Yenukurubas are found scattered in the jungles as with other tribal groups. They are excellent climbers of tree and are skilled in the use of sling, bows and arrows. They demonstrate a strong emotional attachment to the forest as the mother deity and represents a whole way of life. The food, dress, worship, house, medicine, storing articles, furniture, etc. all are linked with forest. Parts of the tribe which have resisted exposure to modernization still live in thatched huts made of mud, leaves and grass. The Yenukurubas mainly depend on forests for the day-to-day life. They occupy forested regions where for a long period in the history they lived in isolation but in harmony with nature. They demonstrate significant knowledge of the forest, including varied species of flora and fauna, and relate to the forest very well. Collecting honey, wax and other forest produce like roots and tubers has been the mainstay of the survival, and in recent times they have been found selling them in the market through organized trade groups, both legal and illegal, which has led to a furore of angst amongst the conservationists. Many of the cultural traits they have are common with the neighboring tribes such as Beta Kuruba, Kadu Kuruba. In the forest the tribes also practice agriculture. The main crops grown are ragi, cow gram, Bengal gram, horse gram and black gram. In the recent years, a lot of commercialization has occurred due to increase in tourism and fragmentation of forest ranges leading to severe. The tribal communities have long since given up the traditional ways of life and have easily indulged in poaching activities and indiscreet hunting of birds and forest animals. Numerous cases of such assistance provided by the tribal folk to poachers in trying to sell game, live or dead, medicinal herbs have been observed and controlled by the Forest Department, leading to a clash between the tribal communities protected by law and law enforcement agencies. To resolve this conflict and imminent threat to the biodiversity in this forest, numerous relocation efforts and anti-poaching efforts have been made in the last decade. An increase in poaching was attributed to the tribal support received by poachers in getting guidance from the tribal groups to navigate the forest, and tracking game, in exchange for money or other supply of necessaries. Relocation efforts. In the last decade there has been enormous activity undertaken both by the government and certain NGOs to relocate tribals to the periphery of the forests. The relocation efforts are part of a larger focus to conserve the existing tiger populations and elephant habitats which were under serious threat due to change in lifestyles of the tribal folk resident within the forests. There has been much resistance to relocation efforts from the oldest groups of tribals, but success has been met in last few years. Many schools and houses with basic amenities facilities like lighting, hospitals and roads being built to support the relocated tribal population. Local villages and settlements: Dibikupi, Makua, Bal Elephant Camp, Karapura, Nisana Belatha, Hemankit, Dominakarteti, and Thresanth, Lakshmipura. Threats and conservation efforts. Timber smuggling. Threats to the national park come from large-scale cutting of sandalwood and teak trees. Timber smuggling, especially sandalwood smuggling, happens quite extensively here. Timber felling has been reported from plantation areas in Kolihadi, Vadaramodu, Tatikari in Virahosana and Metiup in Kalahali. Other places where timber felling has been reported include Arikati, Badrikat, Bidrokat, Viranahosa and Marigodu ranges. In July 2002, hundreds of trees were cut down in the Viranahosali range. Local non-governmental organizations like Kodagu Ekikara and Aranga, Budakatu Krishikara Sangha and Budakatu Haku Stapana Samiti are working to stop tree felling. Cattle disease outbreaks among the cattle have been recorded. An outbreak of rabies that resulted in 4 cattle deaths and affecting 25 to 30 cattle was reported in the first week of September 2005 at GM Mahali, on the border of Antharas and Forest Range in the park. Poaching of birds and other mammals is another serious issue. A high number of elephant deaths have been reported from this park, with nearly 100 elephants dying between 1991-92 and 2004-05 in the Kodagu and Hunsur Forest Division. Elephants are killed for their ivory. A study carried out by Wildlife First found that nearly 77 elephants were reported dead between the 1st of January 2000 and the 31st of October 2002. Another study carried out by the Institute for Natural Resources, Conservation, Education, Research and Training in 2002 revealed that as many as 7 elephants had been killed earlier that year. A study carried out by Dr. Ullas Karanth and Madhu Sudan between 1996 and 1997 revealed that hunting was the biggest threat to wildlife in Kudramukh and Nagarhole National Parks. The survey carried out on 49 active and 19 retired hunters revealed that 26 species of wildlife were hunted at an average intensity of 216 hunter days per month per village. As much as 48% of the hunters reported hunting for the thrill. The study showed that in Nagarhole, 16 mammal species weighing over 1 kilogram were regularly hunted with shotguns and also by traditional methods used by tribal communities. Non-payment of forestry staff. A report submitted by the Project Tiger Steering Committee stated that barely 25% of the park's staff were involved in vigilance work, thus putting the park at high risk of both poaching and tree felling. A irregular payment to the forestry staff has been reported in both Bandipur and Nagarhole National Parks, and there have also been reports of improper use of project funds. Forest fire. In January 2012, there was a catastrophic forest fire that destroyed over 6,000 acres of forest. Huge trees were reduced to cinder. Burnt remains of snakes, monitor lizards, giant Malabar squirrels lay scattered on the charred remains of what was once a verdant patch of moist deciduous forest. Forest fires and seasonal droughts coupled with water shortage have caused many wild animals to migrate to other greener spaces. Human-wildlife conflict. Human-wildlife conflicts due to raids attacks by wild animals and elephants on nearby villages, along with the consequent retaliation by the villages, is another important threat to the park's wildlife. In 2001, the Karnataka state government sanctioned 2 crore rupees to dig elephant-proof trenches and install solar fencing around the park to prevent elephants from straying into the farmers' fields. Human Habitations. In 1997, tribal activist groups won a public interest litigation in the Karnataka High Court to halt the setting up of a resort called the Gateway Tusker Lodge, planned to be set up by the Taj Group of hotels. With nearly 125 villages present inside the park, NGOs actively working to protect the tribal communities include Living Inspiration for Tribals, Korg Organization of Rural Development, DEED, FEDINAVIKASA, and Nagarhole Budakatu Janara Hakustapana Samithi. In 2000, the first relocation attempts initiated by a World Bank-funded eco-development project of the local tribal population was begun with 50 tribal people. The relocated families were given land possession certificates for 5 acres of land and houses at Viranahosali, near Hunshaw. The state and union government plan to relocate 1,550 tribal families at a cost of Rs. 15.5 crores. Gallery.